Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of SUGTalks. I'm Craig Dale, your host, and together with our special guests we'll take a deep dive into the topics, challenges and opportunities facing SAP users today. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. I'm delighted to be joined today by Ian Stubbings, Platform Engineering Lead at BP and also UKISUG's Developer Special Interest Group Chair, and Kevin Raja, Senior Director, Global Centre of Excellence at SAP. And in today's episode, we're going to be discussing low code, no code. What is it? What can it be used for? Why should you care? And what are the potential benefits for users? But before we get into that, I just thought I'd ask you both a quick question. And what I'd like to know is, what was your first computer? Now, mine, which probably showed my age here, was a Texas Instruments TI-99, which probably a lot of people have never ever heard of. But it was kind of around the days just before BBC launched the first BBC computer. So, starting with you, Ian, what was your first computer?
Well, mine was actually a BBC Micro.
There you go.
So you predate me slightly. Yeah, it was the 16K version, and I swiftly found out you couldn't really do anything on the 16K. You needed the 32K. So another £100 for that 16K. Shortly afterwards, and I had my BBC Micro.
Oh, fantastic. Kevin?
I was the Commodore 64.
Oh,
Commodore 64. Do you remember it?
Yeah.
That was me. Yeah, we were a bit late to the party, and I thought, God, this technology, it's never going to kick off, right? So we don't need this, surely. Or at least my parents did, and then we finally, when all the friends were getting it, and we just succumbed to all the pressure and nagged the parents for long enough and hard enough, and Commodore 64, and then shortly after that it was the Amiga 500, if I recall, if you remember that one.
Yeah. I remember both. Yeah, great machines actually, great games. That's what I remember from the Commodore 64.
Yeah. A lot of them came on tape as well back then.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Yeah. 15 minutes to load in, yes. And then you hoped and prayed it worked, yes. Yeah.
Thanks for that, guys. Appreciate that. So, moving on to our main topic of discussion, and to start us off, many of our listeners may have heard of low code, no code. They may not actually have a lot of knowledge on it. So Kevin, could you give us a breakdown of what low code, no code is, and how does it fit with SAP?
Good question. So to answer that, we have to take a step back. We have to frame this whole idea a little bit. And if we understand the problem statement that we're trying to address as not just as SAP, but also as an industry, then the answer will seem a lot more obvious to us. Now, we're living in a world today where inflation is rampant. Markets are volatile. Even the UK bond market, which is meant to be a safe haven for capital, has been fluctuating at never before seen levels. Remember, the Bank of England had to step in just a couple of weeks ago to prop up the markets with their bond purchase program costing $20 billion or £20 billion. Bank of Japan has been doing something similar over the recent weeks, and we're still dealing with the supply chain problems from COVID and China's zero COVID policies, which they're doubling down on, are likely only going to compound issues. And at the same time, interest rates are going up, and the pace of tightening of financial conditions is arguably the worst it's ever been at any point in at least living memory. Europe is also teetering on the edge of an energy crisis. We have the protests at the French oil refineries still dragging on, the Nord Stream pipeline attacks, and on top of all of this, OPEC agreed to cut oil production by 2 million barrels a day. Now, as you know, wholesale costs of gas have gone up 500% since October 2020, which is actually down from 1,500% as it was over the summer. Now, my point is that all of these macro geopolitical and financial headwinds are causing lots of our customers to rethink and reevaluate the strengths of their balance sheet and how they can protect themselves from a recession, a stagflation, or even perhaps a depression. And at the same time, we see a tightening in the labour market. Apple, Meta, Google, Spotify, they're just some of the big tech firms who have announced hiring freezes over the last few months. It's difficult not just to find the right talent, but even more tricky to retain and motivate people. You know, quiet quitting isn't just a meme now. It seems like it's become almost like a post-pandemic trend. And this is all happening when we're seeing the rise of new innovative technology paradigm shifts like artificial intelligence, machine learning, DNA sequencing, robotics and robotic process automation, energy storage, 5G, 6G, space Wi-Fi, etc. The list goes on. So at SAP, we've noticed, and we've been closely following these trends for many years now, we ask ourselves the question, in a world of tightening financial and labour market conditions where IT systems and landscapes are going to get more complex, you know, think legacy on-prem, think cloud, now think hybrid, how do we help our enterprise customers scale and achieve more with less? And the answer we came up with was fascinating. We looked at the industry surveys and we analysed the numbers, and it turns out that about 80% of enterprise users are so-called citizen technologists. You know, these are probably people like me and you. So these are people who create a technology output as part of their full-time job. However, they're not officially part of the IT organization. And these non-IT people, so to speak, can independently use a low-code or no-code technology where they click instead of code. They drag and drop components and they connect them together to create mobile or web apps really, really quickly. And they do this so that they can improve business efficiency and agility. Now, the last part of your question was, how does it fit in with the SAP strategy? The SAP strategy is to help our customers become intelligent, sustainable enterprises. And one of the ways on how we can achieve that is by encouraging innovation. Innovation is about solving business problems, and we can do this with agility and speed using our low-code and no-code platform. So as an example, if you if you wanted to build a desk reservation booking COVID mobile app, then I don't need to go to IT and embark on a 6 to 9 month tech project anymore. Instead, within the trusted guardrails of IT and InfoSec, I can build my app within weeks or even days. And this is a game changer because it lowers the technical barrier to entry. And at the same time, it also helps our customers scale massively.
So is it a drastic oversimplification, if you like, if I say it's kind of bringing the ability to develop apps, solutions to a business user, somebody with no IT knowledge whatsoever?
It's much more than that. It's much more than that. Let me use an analogy to try and explain this. You talked about our first computers, first machines at the beginning. So let me take you back in time now a little bit. Let me take you back in time to 1996. You know, 1996, the Spice Girls are going to rule the world. It's still cool to be driving a Ford Cosworth. And we think that this year is going to be the year that football is finally going to come home. Only for us to lose in the semi-finals against Germany, and then it's 1966 all over again, right? So your head's in 1996 now. So now imagine that you're a medium to large size business, so a medium to large size organization, and you want to build a website. Why do you want to build a website? Because you're an innovative person, innovative organization. You know the future of commerce is going to be online, so you want to build a website. But there's a problem. You don't know HTML. You don't know JavaScript. You don't know CSS. You have no idea how to host a web page, let alone a website. And these are all specialized extraterrestrial technologies as far as you're concerned. So what do? Well, you go to your favorite SI, you take a number, you wait your turn, and then after many, many weeks or sometimes months, they build you a website. And it would be primitive by today's standards, of course, but that would in and of itself would have been a huge IT project. And by the way, it would have cost you anything between 50K and 500K. Now, today, if you wanted to do the same thing, what do? You go to Wix.com, and within 20 minutes, you have a professional grade website with pre-built templates, inbuilt security, authentication for things like credit cards, e-commerce and stuff. and they'll even host it for you for less than £20 a month. Simple. So how did that magic trick work? Well, the magic was that they were able to commoditize a previously niche capability. And we're trying to do something very precisely similar with our low-code, no-code platform. It's not about replacing the old way of doing things with a new, faster system. That would be analogous to using a smartphone like the new Google Pixel 7, but only ever using it to make telephone calls, and even then only ever to a landline. It's about innovating, it's about building new revenue streams, it's about simplifying landscapes and accelerating development. And this in turn will enable our customers to remain relevant, remain competitive and compliant in an ever-increasing, difficult and regulatory-driven market.
Thank you. And Ian, if I can just turn to you a second, you lead our developers community. And what are the benefits of low code, no code for SAP developers and system owners?
Well, I mean, certainly it's something that we've been looking at recently. We did a workshop earlier on this year that Kevin ran on our behalf as well. So the community are very much engaged in low code, no code. What does it have to offer? So it's not necessarily just for the citizen developers, but also for the actual the hardcore developers, if you like, to expedite the work that they are doing. And at BP, we've got our own citizen development centre. We call it the Digital Citizen Centre. In fact, they've been active for just over a year now, I believe. We've been looking at ServiceNow, Salesforce. We have Power Apps in there, Power BI, and OneMap. We're wondering, does SAP fit into that space as well? So for our system owners, so yes, resource constraints are real. The cost of developing software is real. It's a lot of money. So if some of that can be delivered by citizen developers or just expedited by actual developers, then it's something that we're really, really interested in.
So looking at that from the perspective of a large organisation, BP, huge organisation, created the centre. How does it also help, Kevin, smaller businesses, maybe a mid-sized organisation?
There are lots of examples where we can help with our low-code and no-code and automation technologies. In fact, any business process that involves either an approval or an interaction with multiple people or teams, or virtually any activity that involves using a business application in a repetitive manner, can be automated or optimized using our low-code, no-code, no-code technologies. Think capital expenditure approval process, think account openings, think arranging visa permits, document approvals, or return order processing. Or here's another real-life example to crystallize the point. We're working at the moment with an airline operator, a European airline operator, and they process almost 600 million invoices a year. Now, some of these invoices are processed automatically, but the vast majority are still processed manually. And because it's a relatively intensive task, they outsource this work to an agency. And many small to medium enterprises, to your question, will probably do the same thing. Now, the agency charges anything between 50 cents and €1.50 per invoice. And we looked at that and we thought, oh, cool, that's just a use case screaming to be optimized. So now we're working with them to use our low-code, no-code technology to auto-scan invoices, and then use our machine learning technology to read the invoices. The algorithms effectively, they go through the text, the image, if you like, of the invoice, and they extract all the required information. So the sender's name, the amount, the date, etc. And then we're finally using our SAP process automation technology, where the robot assigns the workflow and does the invoice posting to their ERP system, to S4. Now, in terms of benefits, I mean, the benefits are going to be huge. We're expecting to save 80 to 95% of time, reduce 99% plus of errors, 99% errors, and the entire process is going to be 90% plus cheaper than their status quo. And this is a game changer, and it's also the digitization or the hyper digitization of commerce and business and organizations as we're seeing it. And in a large part, I mean, let's face it, if you've ever tried to book an appointment with your GP lately, all industries are going this way. Digitization is happening, and it's very real. And partly, COVID was part of the reason for that. So, hope that answers the question.
Thanks. So obviously a lot of view around the automation of manual tasks, and from that example you used there, about 6 million invoices, if you like, that's a hell of a saving if you can automate the majority of that task. And so does that mean that organizations become less reliant on specialist SAP developers? Just back to your point earlier, Ian, about staffing and costs and things, and the costs of development, and obviously what you mentioned earlier, Kevin, about the current, if you like, volatile nature of the market and the ability to get skilled staff in these areas. So would that make the likes of BP perhaps, as an example, Ian, less reliant on specialist developers by using this technology?
Not necessarily, I wouldn't say. I think there is a place for pro code and there's a place for the low code and no code. I think what it does, it reduces the bottleneck of the innovation that is required to try and stay one step ahead. So we do have a lot of SAP developers, but as we probably called it before, the more sort of shadow IT of the citizen developer is a real use case, which has been recognised, as I mentioned. So there is definitely a space for both. There will be the more lighter weight scenarios, perhaps that can be automated, but there is certainly a place for the more complex scenarios that will rely on your highly skilled developer. So definitely a place for both types of activity, I would say.
So it's back to, I suppose, in my simplistic mind, freeing up the coders, the developers, to do real value adding stuff.
Absolutely, yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
If I just add to that, again, using an analogy, I bet if I went into your garage, Craig, and I looked through all your tools in your toolbox, I bet you I'd find a handsaw, but I bet I'd also probably find a jigsaw. Now, that's not to say that the handsaw is better than the jigsaw. They are both very valid tools, and I'd probably also find a hacksaw somewhere in there as well. They are all valid tools, but they just have a slightly different use case. If you wanted to cut a lot of lumber, you could do it with a handsaw if you wanted, if you had the time, if you had the energy, but you might be better off with a chainsaw. There's a strength of fit. It's not a zero-sum game. Every tool has a strength of fit for a given use case. And as you know, if I went into your garage, the more tools you have at your disposal, the easier it's going to make that chopping up the log job that your missus has asked you to do, because, hey, energy costs are driving up this winter. The easier it's going to make that task, right? That's a good thing. It's a good thing.
That's really good, and a very good analogy, although you'd have had to come about 4 weeks ago, because we're getting a downstairs loo fitted, and my wife's taking away 90% of my garage, so I haven't even got much space for my tools. but yeah, thank you. That really does, the right tool for the right job. Just simplistically, thank you.
Hi, we're the UK and Ireland SAP user group. Did you know we're a fiercely independent not-for-profit? Did you know we're a vibrant community of over 6,500 SAP users? And did you know we help each other by sharing resources, championing education, and influencing SAP's future development? Well, you do now. If you'd like to get the most from your SAP investments and be in the know, visit our website, sapusers.org/pod. We hope you enjoy the rest of the podcast.
And so, what advice would you give, Kevin, to organisations looking to use a low-code, no-code platform or tools?
I think most people right now would benefit from doing one of three things, or three things if they can. I think the first thing is to learn as much as you can. There's a lot of boredom and even frustration in our ecosystem. Just open up Twitter and you get lost in the whole tribal wars of this vendor does this, that vendor does that. The one with the blue logo is better, the one with the orange one isn't. And they're just turf wars almost. And it's just noise. And instead, I think it's better if we just learn what this paradigm and shift is about, how low-code, no-code fits into the hyper-automation space, how related technologies like artificial intelligence, like machine learning, etc., event-driven software architectures, BPM solutions, how they all come together and how they fit in. I think that's the first thing. The second thing, I think it's important and perhaps even incumbent on everybody in the industry to do your part. Now, what your part is unique to you. So if you're a technical person, help build something. Might be a POC, might be a weekend project, might be something full-time. Just go do that. If you're really good at articulating ideas and communicate well with senior management on the benefits of scaling with these technologies, go do that. Maybe you like teaching. Maybe you want to promote this paradigm shift to your co-workers one afternoon. Whatever it is, just do your bit to help grow, to help evangelize the ecosystem, because it's going to take a lot of people in our industry to make this happen, and we all have our part to play. And the third thing is, the final thing I think is, remember how early we still are in this space. In my view, most vendors, and SAP included, I think we've only really existed in any real mainstream, credible enterprise offering, in an enterprise offering way, in this space for what, less than, what number would you put on it, Ian? 5 years? Would you say that was a good number? Less than 5 years?
I would say 5 years. Yeah. I mean, obviously, low code, no code in itself has probably been around for a decade, but and you go through these peaks and troughs of this is the time when it's ready and when it's ripe for real development. But I think now, absolutely, we're on the cusp of it. Yeah.
Exactly. So, let's just pick a number and say it's half a dozen years. But that still means it's relatively new, and the opportunity is absolutely massive because the market is nowhere near saturation like some of the other disciplines in our industry. But equally, there are going to be some teething problems along the way. And by being active and taking part, we can all make this space better. Look, no one's gonna dispute that the new iPhone 14 isn't a brilliant piece of technology. But to get to the iPhone 14, the industry had to go through a lot of pain and problems. And the honest truth is, success is always built on the back of failure. So don't be scared to fail. It's par for the course if you ever want to succeed.
Thank you. And Ian, just looking at it, obviously you talked there about from the customer side. So if an organisation's looking to want to get maybe involved in this, what advice would you give from a customer perspective?
Well, actually, as Kevin mentioned, don't be scared of failure. Certainly, we run POCs on products all the while, and we decide, of course, how mature that product is and how capable it is to be part of the BP ecosystem. So, we're looking at both AppGyver and process automation, as well as a host of other SAP products as well. And we will make sure that as our projects evolve internally, at which point, of course, those products are able to take on what we needed to take on within our project. So, absolutely, always active development, looking at these kind of POCs.
Thank you. And that kind of, a couple of those products kind of rang a bell with me as we're building the program for UKISUG Connect coming up at the end of November. And I think we're covering some of these elements in the program, aren't we?
We certainly are, yes. Yeah. Within the developer stream and the UX stream, I believe both of those are covered, yeah, because there is a lot of interest. As mentioned, Kevin ran a workshop for us, and that was a a direct result actually of some activity within BP itself, and it seemed a great way to combine that activity with a wider audience as well. Because it's a lot of interest with a lot of companies and a lot of people at the moment.
Excellent. So we've got some user group events coming up there covering the low-code, no-code tools and technology. And Kevin, anywhere else where our listeners can go for more information to learn more?
We have a ton of content and material to get you started. Head over to sap.com and search for low code, no code. You can also try heading over to the SAP Discovery Center, where we have a step-by-step guide or step-by-step tutorials. You can also check out learning.sap.com, where you can get certified on things like SAP Process Automation, AppGyver, etc., the low-code, no-code toolset. And if you're still keen, still hungry, and you want to learn even more, then head over to the events page on sap.com, and we regularly host customer forums. And you mentioned one at the end of November. In November, there's also one up and coming in 27th of October in Paddington. I think you're going to that as well, Craig, aren't you?
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Yeah. So
I will see you both there.
It's awesome. But
Oh,
if we can
brilliant.
if we can get this message out to our listeners in time, then maybe we can maybe they could also come along and see us in the flesh.
Thank you very much. So lots of places to go for information. And, if you're listening, you're not a member of the user group, join now and get involved. But okay, just now looking towards the future and just coming towards the end of our discussion, what kind of future developments has SAP got planned for low-code, no-code, Kevin?
Broadly speaking, we're going to have much tighter integration with BTP, with our business technology platform, fusion with other related disciplines like machine learning, artificial intelligence, other packaged software solutions, and our core ERP offerings as well. And as I said earlier on, this isn't a technology that sits in isolation. It fits as part of a broader ecosystem of hyper automation as well. So we often like to think of these as fusion teams coming together, and even within SAP, we're seeing many different teams, many different parts of SAP that previously were unconnected. So, for example, the AI labs were previously unconnected with the app development labs for low-code, no-code, for the low-code, no-code platform. They are now coming together. And what I would say, though, for anyone really interested and really wants to see what the official position is on this, then head over to our roadmap viewer on our website, and we have lots more detail. And if you're still in doubt, reach out to us or come along to our Paddington event next week and meet us in person, and we'll do our best to answer your questions and have you covered.
Thank you very much. And anything to add from your side, Ian?
Well, as well as the learning offers that Kevin mentioned, I would be really keen on an open SAP course. So I don't know whether there's one already thought about or in production, but I find the open SAP course is really, really useful. So perhaps a nod to the team there, Kevin, that something would be really useful. Yeah.
Duly noted.
Thanks very much, guys. Ian, Kevin, thank you so much for your time and insights, and thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found it valuable. Please make sure you do hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes. So until the next time, stay safe, stay well, and keep washing your hands.